Austin, about how long does it seem since you pitched in a game, like a regular season game?
Like a regular season game?
Yeah, like a
Um,
competitive against somebody else
I
in a
think
close
it,
game.
yeah, it felt, it's a good question. I think it felt longer in the first spring training, and then after the whole COVID layoff, it kind of just feels like I'm right where everybody else was. But I definitely felt, back in February, the first couple times out, that it was just, getting back into game shape, getting back into used to having, the adrenaline pumping. Because you could throw as many bullpens and as many live BPs as you want, but you can't really replicate, the adrenaline stuff that you get from a game. So, but as far as feeling like a long time, I think it felt longer earlier. But now, I mean, I think I'm just where everybody else is, just trying to get as ready as we can in this short period.
Are you at all curious, intrigued, excited by the many varied ways you might be used in a short season?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously exciting anytime you feel like you could be in a position to help, the team win games. I think with everybody, just being flexible and being versatile is kind of what, this season's going to be about. It's going to be about, guys doing stuff that they haven't typically done in the past. And, the season's going to be played a different way than it has been in the past. So I think as long as you're just there and you're present and ready to do everything, knowing that every day could look completely different regardless, when it comes to testing. Some days, some guys might not be there, travel, stuff like that. So I think just, trying to wake up, take it day by day and just, throw when you get the opportunity to throw.
What kind of asset can that slider be, and how much was that a focus on this time away between spring and summer?
Oh yeah. I mean, it was just continuing to do what I did in the off season, which was, try to first off try to get healthy, get in a position. You can't help the team if you're not on the field. But then, once I got past that and over that bridge, it was more of, trying to look back at, the info and stuff that I had from 2018. And I just felt like that was the one thing that I, could do better. The one, glare, I've always had a good, true curveball. And I just felt like adding a slider, something, cutter, slider, something, in that area would just benefit me, because I just didn't have anything that did what that pitch did and didn't have any way to give that look. And, from there now it's just trying to figure out, spots that it works. I know the pitch is good. Now it's, how do I balance? When do I throw a curveball and when do I throw a slider? Which one works in the right spots. And that's just something that I'm trying to learn on a day to day.
Was there a time in tonight's game where that kind of came up? Like the at-bat against Edmond seemed like a moment where maybe you were learning which to use the slider or curve.
Yeah, I mean, like most of the time, the decision may almost be made for you. It's very rare that you have them both going in the same night to where, I could throw it for a strike if I want. I could throw the curveball for a strike if I want. I could throw it underneath. I could throw the curveball underneath. So obviously nights like tonight, you can be a little bit more creative with how you use your stuff. When, sometimes you might only have the curveball, sometimes you might only have the slider, but it's definitely fun to pitch when you can, kind of create sequences and do things and create looks that, I haven't, these guys have seen me a lot in the past, but they haven't seen that version of me. So it's almost like, just creating new looks.
Austin, does the brevity of this camp stand out to you at all? I mean, you mentioned how fast you guys are trying to get ready. Do you feel like the ramp up here is going to be sufficient to get you personally and team wise to where you're going to want to be in 9-10 days from now?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I would first say that I think most guys came into this in better shape than you come in to normal spring training, right? You play all the way until November, and then you take some time off, and then you only get like 1 or 2 months where you're fully ramped up before you show up to February. Well, we were ready to go and then got to go home and kind of just stay where we were. So from like physical standpoint, I mean, I feel good. I think a lot of guys feel good. I mean, just watching some of the pitchers that we have throw, I mean, everybody's stuff looks, crisp. So it doesn't look like anybody's really lagging behind. And that was just the expectation with this group was, we're going to go home and do what we do. And then when we get the opportunity to come back, we're going to be ready.
We can't really see them from our angle up here, but we could hear the other starting pitchers at some points this evening. Was that a little extra layer to have the remainder of the rotation kind of behind home plate and behind the umpire as well tonight?
I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even notice them really. I mean, yeah, I thought it would be weird, pitching here with no fans at first. And then you realize when you get out there and you start pitching that I don't even realize if there's fans there or not. And so it's really not much different from that standpoint. And that's really the biggest thing was how are we going to get the adrenaline? How are we going to, create the noise? But it almost makes it, to me, I think it's more just pure competition. It's silent. It's me versus you. And I think it'll add an extra layer.
Hey, Austin, with that slider, how much, or did you at all talk to Jack about it, especially when you were working on it?
Yeah. I at first it was a cutter. In 2018, I learned it from Jason Isringhausen when I was in going back and forth on the Memphis shuttle. I learned it from Izzy one time I was down, and that year it was more of a cutter. And then last year at the beginning of the year in Memphis, it started to become more of a slider. And then this offseason, I had obviously a longer offseason than most guys, and I kind of just, had talked to some people, talked to Jack, talked to other guys that are, well-versed in the analytical world, TrackMan stuff, and kind of just trying to figure out which one would be better. Do we stay with the cutter or do we try to develop more of a true slider? And we kind of landed on the true sliders. And then so that all off season, it was more of just how do I throw a true slider? So it was more of just, using the resources and the technology more than anything. That's I never really used it before, but definitely serves a purpose.